Hey Giants fans, welcome back to Giants Latest. Let's go ahead and recap day 3 of training camp. Here's what you need to know. Let's start with the offense because that's how we're going about things these days. So, the offense was kind of hit or miss again today. There were some really nice throws from all of the quarterbacks, and then there were some not so nice throws. So, let's start with some of the good things first. Is that Russell Wilson his moon ball is still so beautifully glorious. Absolute dime down the field to Malik Neighbors, who beat Paulson Adebo in coverage for the touchdown. Beautiful throw. So nice to see it. He also had some really nice throws to Wandale. Darius Slayton was a lot more involved today. Got some questions asking about where was Slayton because everyone's heard so much about Malik Neighbors and nothing really about anyone else. So Darius Slayton was definitely more involved today, and I saw quite a bit more from him as well, which was nice. Other wide receivers, Ihmir Smith-Marsette, I think, is definitely getting that 5th wide receiver spot on the roster. He obviously is a special teamer and used as a punt and I think kick returner, so that's part of it. But I finally saw him used more from an offensive perspective, and he talked about this when he was on the Giants Huddle podcast, and he said, when he gets the ball in his hands, he's explosive and he can make plays, and we see that on special teams, so why not use him as a wide receiver? And I saw a lot of that today, especially in with the twos. He got a lot of snaps with Jackson Dart. He got snaps with Jameis Winston, and he did take advantage of most of them. He made a few really nice plays. He was used mostly in the slot, sometimes on the outside, but because he has that speed factor, I think we're probably going to see him as more of like a slot type of guy, and hopefully just those short routes that he can take to the house like we used to see with OBJ, and like I want to see more from Malik Neighbors. Like, you have guys who have speed, use that to your advantage. That's what I would love to see more of. So I think Ihmir Smith-Marsette has done a really nice job so far, and today I think was his best day yet. Some of the other wide receivers, Beau Collins also had a really nice day today. He had quite a few catches, most of them from Jameis Winston, but I believe he had 1 or 2 also from Jackson Dart. So he's a guy to definitely watch because that 6th wide receiver spot is definitely open, and I think it's going to be between guys like him, Zach Pascal, Montrell Washington, who got a lot of snaps today, not really any with the ones, mostly with the 2s, 3s, and 4s, but he seemed to get more snaps than usual. I saw a bunch from Little Jordan Humphrey, so these Jordan Blythe, and Juice Wells. Those are all going to be the guys that are really in the mix for that 6th wide receiver spot. As of right now, I feel like it's still pretty wide open. I would say just feel the most confident that Ihmir Smith-Marsette is getting that 5th spot. But that 6th one, I think it could be anyone. It could be someone like Beau Collins, who had a nice day today, so we'll see if he can build upon that this weekend and throughout the rest of camp. Let's talk about running backs because there was some awesome stuff that came out of those guys. I really love Turbo. I've talked a lot about him in the past. He ran a 4.4 40. He's capable of being used in the backfield. He's got that speed. He's also got good hands. So he's used a little bit as a pass catcher. And one thing that I've seen from all of the wide receivers, and this has also been talked about a lot with this coaching staff and the players this offseason, is that there's a lot of versatility happening from all of the different skill positions. The biggest one being the wide receivers is that so many of them are used in the passing game and in the running game. I saw it with Cam Scatterbo today. I saw it with Tyrone Tracy. I saw it with Turbo. I saw it with Singletary, like literally every single one of them. Singletary had a couple nice plays. Cam Scatterbo, like, I love him. He is going to be an absolute freak this year. He caught a really nice corner end zone pass from Jackson Dart, 2 feet in bounds, beautiful catch. He had a few really nice catches today. And he's one of those guys that I know his contact balance has been talked about so highly, and that's such a big piece of his game. But when you see him running with the ball, he also, the way that he holds the ball so securely, I mean, knock on wood, seems like turnovers are not going to be a problem for him. Like I said, knock on wood. But he's done a really nice job with that, and I just get the feeling that it's going to be really hard for other players to take him down. And they're not tackling in practice yet, so it's hard to really see. Obviously, it's kind of a bit of a 2-hand game, but that contact balance, because he's so good at it and he's so secure and so low to the ground, I really think that's something that's going to be translates very well from college to the NFL for him. So I'm super excited to see more of him. I did see a bit of Rushawn Baker, who was in, I think he got 1 or 2 snaps with the ones, mostly with the 2s and 3s, but that was new today, where I think previously he was mostly getting snaps with the 4s. So the rotation that Dable Kafka and Bowen have been going with is a lot, to the point where sometimes I'm like, who is on the field this snap? There's so many rotations going on, which is great. A little confusing for all of us who are watching and paying that much attention to every single player who's on the field for every snap. So with that being said, let's talk about the quarterbacks. So Russell Wilson, I would say, was kind of like up and down today. The problem with Russell Wilson was not necessarily his fault, because John Michael Schmitz had 3 snaps that went over Russell's head. 3. So that's unacceptable, especially in a year when someone like JMS needs to really prove himself and take it to the next level. I get it's camp, mistakes are going to happen. I'm aware of that. But 3 in one day, when this is not a problem the last couple days, I do think part of it, I think the heat was kind of getting to them. Like, the last 2 days have been absolutely beautiful. Today was literally 95 degrees with 100% humidity. It was disgusting. And I just feel like there were some issues because of that, because some of the players did not look as sharp as they did yesterday, and even as much as on day 1. So I think, Russell Wilson made some really nice throws. Again, the throw to Malik Neighbors was perfect. He threw a couple nice balls to Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton. And those were mostly the receivers that we really saw with the ones. Theo Johnson has been very heavily involved. Russell Wilson has thrown the ball quite a bit to Theo Johnson, and he's made some nice plays as well. Daniel Bellinger's gotten some reps with the ones. Dulcich has gotten 1 or 2 with them. Fidoni, I don't really think he's gotten any with the ones. He's mostly been with the 3s and 4s. I've seen him a couple times in with the 2s, but those other 3 guys have been the real focal point. And Chris Manhertz has gotten quite a few with the ones too. I have not seen Chris Manhertz yet, especially today. He was not used as a pass catcher, but I do think we will see that from him a bit here and there. So, Russ, there were a couple passes that were not great, but there were also a lot of them that were beautiful. So, it's just par for the course, I think, this time of year. Let's talk about Jackson Dart. Same thing, little bit hit or miss today. The throw to Scadaboo to end practice was perfection. He also had some other really nice throws to a bunch of different wide receivers. So like I said, the rotation has been super heavy. So guys like Bo Collins got reps with the 2s, Dulcich a little bit with the 2s. Bellinger was in a lot with the 2s and 3s. Who's the other tight end that I am missing right now? Theo Johnson, also a lot of reps with the 2s. But what I saw from Dart was a lot of throws to Scadaboo and to the running back. So Tyrone Tracy in with the 2s, Devin Singletary in with the 2s. A lot of those times when those guys were in, and look, there were some handoffs and things like that, but the focus of this portion of camp usually is passing. So the running backs have been really involved. So one thing that I did want to talk about that I focused on more today with Dart is getting through his reads. Was he able to progress through them? And sometimes he did, and sometimes he didn't. Like the throw to Scadaboo, perfect. Made it through all 3 of his reads. Scadaboo open, beautiful throw, corner end zone, 2 feet in, perfection. But then there were a couple times when the pressure was coming in. Nick Jones would have had a sack on him today where he wasn't able to get through the reads. Now, a lot of this was when he was with the 3rd string offensive line, and Joshua Ezeudu is the tackle. So just a reminder that things like that are happening. Now, Dart got most of the reps with the 2s today. Towards the very end of practice, Dable actually swapped him and Jameis Winston. So when practice started out, Dart got every single rep with the 2s, with 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s. And then it was like the very last 10-minute drill where they were doing 11-on-11s, Dable swapped them out. So Winston was with the 2s and Dart was with the 3s. And that was when Dart didn't look the best to me. He did end it on that high note, but there were some times when I was like, ooh, like not a great throw. Like when the pressure was coming in, he forced it and threw it at someone's ankles. Things like that. Where I'm at is it's day 3 of camp and we're not going to panic. He's not the starter. I'm not worried about things like that. It's his job to improve on everything. What I will say he has improved on is no turnovers. Were a couple pass breakups, no turnovers for him today. And I think that he's really focusing in on learning that the window's closing a lot quicker and he has to be smarter about getting the ball in the right place and about making those decisions. So again, progress. We're going to see how it continues over the rest of camp and then preseason. I think preseason, for the next few weeks is going to be the biggest indicator as to whether or not Dart is really progressing and he's able to keep up with his reads. Now, this was something that I know was a concern for a lot of us, myself included, after the Giants drafted him, is was he going to be able to do that at the NFL level? It's day 3 of practice. So what I think we should all do is not freak out if he's not always getting through the reads. If he's getting there, sometimes that's a start and that needs to continue. But remember, he's being overloaded with a lot of information. He's not going to be the starter this year, and he's going to have time to really learn and develop and hopefully grow into a franchise quarterback, which is what we all want him to be. Okay, that got long-winded. Let's move along to the defense. Tyler Nubin, star of the show, outside of Abdul Carter, who is literally the star of the show every single day. I just don't have enough good things to say about him. His swim move today, his spin move today, unbelievable. Reps with the first team, just, I'm like, this guy is absolutely going to destroy people. And we've seen the spin moves a couple times at this point, but he's so quick. He is at the quarterback in seconds. And I'm like watching Jackson Dart, and I'm like, you have no shot. Just no chance going against Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter was getting reps. Him and Kayvon were getting reps all over the place. So Kayvon actually was getting reps with the 4s at some point. He was also getting reps with the 1s, 2s, and 3s. Burns was the only one who, and I don't think Carter got snaps with the 4s. They were mostly 1s. Burns is only 1s. Carter is 1s, 2s, mostly 1s and 2s today. One thing that I noticed with the defense as a whole, and we're going to get back to Nubin in a second, is I did not see all 3 pass rushers on the field together today. I did see it yesterday, and I hope that this is an indication of Bowen's defense, that it's going to be really versatile, and he's going to switch it up, and he's going to focus on, obviously, every play. It's going to be different, and it's going to be based on, what the offense on the other side of the ball, obviously what they're looking like and who he feels like is the best 11 on that play and what he wants to do, whether it's first down or third down. So I'm really hoping that versatility is a key factor for this defense this year. But what I will say is whether you have 2 of those guys or 3 of those guys on the field, plus Dexter Lawrence, they're going to get to the quarterback. One of them is going to get there because these guys are all freak shows. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Kayvon Thibodeau said that this offseason he focused a lot on wrestling because he wants to be able to tackle guys to the ground. He wanted to work on his speed, his agility, and his tackling capabilities. And I guess wrestling, he felt like was the best way to do that because last year he said he had 5 half sacks, and that is unacceptable, and they need to be full sacks. So obviously they're not tackling. Hard to see that at this point. What I will say is I've seen really good effort from Kayvon when he was in with the 4s, and Tommy DeVito threw the ball, a deep shot to Bo Collins. I'm pretty sure it was Bo Collins. Thibodeau was right there chasing him down, and he would have tackled him if he was allowed to. So I like what I'm seeing out of Kayvon. Obviously, love what I'm seeing out of Carter. Let's talk about Nubin because he had the best day by far. He had multiple pass breakups. Tay Banks also had pass breakups. Nubin was this close to an interception. Tay Banks, believe it or not, almost had an interception. So I'm really excited about that with Nubin because him and Phillips are both guys that in year 2, they started out well in year 1. They have to continue that into year 2. And I really loved seeing that effort and the toughness and aggressiveness from Nubin. I think he's going to do a really nice job. And to see that where we're at in practice, I want that to continue for him. But I feel really good about having him out there. I think he's going to make that leap this year. Javon Holland also looks great out there. Like I said, they're not tackling. So, with guys like this, safeties and the linebackers, we've barely talked about the linebackers, but they're not tackling. So until they get the pads on, which is happening on Monday, and I will be at practice on Monday to report, that's when we're really going to start seeing the good stuff, especially from the defense and the offensive line. So excited about that. More on the defense. Roy Robertson Harris is still getting the bulk of the snaps with the 1s, but there was a really big rotation with the defensive line today. So I saw Elijah Chapman in with the 1s towards the ends of practice. I saw Garcia in with the 1s. Darius Alexander worked his way up to the 1s. So prior to this, Darius Alexander basically started with the 3s and is slowly working his way up. He was in with the 2s, and today I believe was his first day in with the 1s. So rotations are going very heavily. I love that they're really focused on that. Nacho has been getting reps for Dexter Lawrence when he's been on the sides. So again, rotation super heavy. Chauncey Golston was getting a lot of reps in with the 2s. He's a guy that I'm really excited about. And so that's kind of what's it with the defensive line. The corners, Banks had a good day today. He actually started with the twos today. Practice opened up with 7-on-7s, and Cordell Flott was out there with the ones. And then when they went 11-on-11s, that was when we saw a rotation between the two of them. I believe that towards the end of practice, Banks was getting more snaps with the ones, but I also saw Banks getting snaps with the 3s and 4s and the 2s. So they're serious about the rotation. I like the fact that I think they're really emphasizing that you have to earn your starting role this year, whether you're Tay Banks or you're anyone else on this defense outside of Abdul Carter and Brian Burns. Even Abdul Carter hasn't been with the ones every single time. So he's been getting reps with 2s and 3s and stuff like that. So the rotation has been exciting. Like I said, it's sometimes almost been like overwhelming trying to figure out who's all on the field at once, but it's been really good to see, and it's been really great to see these guys. They're working hard out there. The competition is strong, so much so that actually towards the end of practice, Burns was on the field chasing down Wan'Dale Robinson, who he must have caught the ball or was trying to catch the ball from Russell, and him and Burns ended up colliding, and they both went down. Now, they were both down for a minute or two, able to get up and walk off the field on their own, but they did not come back out to practice. In my opinion, from what I saw, I think that it was like they got the wind knocked out of them because they literally collided and went down. And they were walking off on their own merit. No one was carrying them. They didn't get carted. They weren't limping. So that is all a good thing. No one was like holding their arm or shoulder. I am hoping that it's not a concussion. Neither of them, obviously they had helmets on, but they were not wearing the Guardian caps. So hopefully it's not anything serious. I'm sure we'll get more on that over the weekend. The players have off tomorrow, but they are back on Sunday, and Monday they're in pads. So we'll probably hear from Dable on Sunday, some update about that. Also, Jalen Hyatt, I know we didn't talk about him today, but Jalen Hyatt, because he didn't practice, he had some cramping and a little bit of tightness in his leg. Dable said he's probably going to be fine, but the rest day tomorrow, I think, is going to help him a lot. Plus, he had off today. We'll see if he's back on Sunday. I have one note for you guys on special teams, and then we're going to wrap this up. Javon Holland was out there doing punt returns. He wasn't the only one. So it was Montrell Washington, obviously Amir Smith-Marset. I believe Turbo was back there. Who else? Bryce Ford Wheaton, I think. But the one that stood out to me the most was Javon Holland. And I was like, for the love of God, Dable, did you not learn anything from not having the cornerbacks out there? I get it. It's practice. You can do it. But Holland dropped the ball. And I was like, that's it. I saw all I needed to see. Don't you dare ever think about putting your starting safety or corner on the field as a punt returner. It's just unacceptable. Unacceptable. Again, it's camp. Not that big of a deal. Don't want to see it in preseason. Don't want to see it in the regular season. He did it with Adoree Jackson a couple of years ago, and then Adoree Jackson got hurt, and can we learn our lessons, please? Let's not make the same mistake over and over again. Brian Dable, please and thank you. All right, that wraps it up for today's episode. Make sure you guys subscribe because there's way more Giants news coming your way. Be back on Monday with a recap of Sunday and Monday's practice.